Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 11th episode of the Faith Forward podcast. For those viewers from Sacred Heart, I hope you had a lovely spring break. Our guest today is a senior from Drums, Pennsylvania, studying exercise science on the pre-med track. She also has minors in biology, chem, and theology, religious studies. Outside of the classroom, she is the captain of the club softball team, president of the American Medical Student Association, and a pre-health peer mentor. She's a member of the peer ministry team as part of the community building ministry, and she's here to sit down and talk to me. Grace Warner, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So now you have done a lot while here, but before we get to that, you said you're originally from Drums, Pennsylvania. So what was your faith like growing up?
Yeah, so it's a very, very small town, and I grew up going to church with my family every Sunday. It was me, my brother, my mom, all my cousins, my aunt, and my grandmother. We took up the whole pew every Sunday, and we still carry through with that tradition. We go to breakfast afterwards. So that really started how I got close to my faith, and then coming here to Sacred Heart, it was really then transitioning into making it my own.
You know, I think that's very important, having your family a part of your faith. Like for us, for my family, the four of us, we go to Mass every Saturday night, and then we go to dinner afterward. But I'm sure you have fond memories, with your family doing that and,
Yes.
taking up the whole pew. Like that's a good thing. That's a good memory.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm from a very small town, so everybody knows everybody. So seeing the familiar faces, we all kind of go to school around the same area, so I made lots of friends with the church as well.
Were you involved in the church there, like as maybe a minister or a altar server or something like that?
When not directly, after I got confirmed and going into like my confirmation, for 1 year, I believe it was, I was a faith formation aide. So I helped teach the fourth graders. I didn't really do much. I was kind of just aiding them around. And I was in 2 of the Living Stations of the Cross performances that we had.
What does that entail?
So I was just a narrator. I wasn't actually part of it. I was just standing on the side and kind of just reading the background of what was going on with the Living Stations of the Cross. So instead of going around the church and looking at all of the different stations, we acted it out, and there was someone playing Jesus, someone playing Mary. So that was really cool.
That is cool. I've never heard of that.
Oh, really?
And I wish my church had that, because sometimes when you're sitting there and listening, as much as you want to be engaged in it and really concentrate, sometimes you just can't, and you drift off. Yeah. Yes. So having that visual, I think, I'd love that. Maybe one day I'll come to Drums and I'll see that. Now, tell me what it's like being a part of the peer ministry team. How long have you been a part of it?
Yeah, so freshman year, I've always wanted to be involved in it, but unfortunately as a freshman, you can't. You apply your freshman spring semester, and you apply for your sophomore year. So I got in sophomore year. I was on the social justice pillar. So that was really working with service and that kind of aspect, which was something new to me, kind of connecting volunteering and service with my relationship with God. And that kind of taught me the principal idea of serving others is directly serving Christ. And that kind of reinforced the idea for me that there's 2 relationships when it comes to faith. There's that vertical and horizontal relationship, being vertical, your personal, intimate relationship with God, and then your relationship with those around you. We're all children of God, and I think it's very important for us to treat others with respect and love, because that's what Jesus would have wanted.
As the sweatshirt says, I'm a child of God. I noticed that before.
I try to wear some Jesus merch to spark conversation in natural ways. But then junior year, I became captain. So I oversaw the social justice pillar, which was very nice to be a member and then kind of lead it. And then I was also with the interfaith pillars and the small groups. So the Bible study that is now running weekly, I started that last year. So it's very exciting to see that carry over. So that was an amazing experience, just organizing, leading it, and having vulnerable conversations with students, especially in the college community. I feel like faith sometimes is a hard conversation to have. So I love how Sacred Heart, we have so many opportunities, whether that's going to adoration, doing the rosary. There's so many different avenues because everyone's faith relationship is different. And then now I'm a returning captain, and I lead the community building and the uprooted pillar, which is with the freshmen, because like I said before, you can't join peer ministry team until you're a sophomore. So we still wanted to get people rooted in Christ and have that be the foundation of their college experience. So I led the freshman retreat, which was a really exciting experience. And then with the community building, it's really just, we have all these events on campus for all the students, but we wanted to have something that was for us as a team. So I think talking about faith in general, you want to have a strong foundation internally before kind of spreading the word of God. So I think us just getting together and having fun conversations.
That's great. So now in your senior year and looking back to all you've done in the peer ministry team, what has this meant to you to kind of have an influence in all of these people's relationship with their faith and with God?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I knew that when I was a freshman, I attended one of the events, and I knew right from that event, I was like, I want to be part of this. I want to make a difference. And last year when I started the Bible study, it was just amazing. We had like 10 to 15 students come every week, and just having that conversation was something that I was scared to do, because I feel like we're all not God. We're all not all-knowing. So Right. It's a vulnerable place to then kind of lead a setting when you know that like there's so much out there that you don't know. So I didn't want to kind of like mislead people, but I think that stepping out of my comfort zone, it put me in a lot of amazing environments like the Bible study. And one of the campus ministers, she no longer works here, but she ended up telling me the one time that somebody went to her saying that they started going to Mass again after 2 years after not going. And they were inspired from attending the Bible study. So that was very reinforcing for me.
That's great. And I'm sure, that makes you feel good that, you are kind of inspiring others to walk like you, with all of us, in their faith and grow in their faith. In your sophomore year, you told us that you were part of a global service trip to Colombia.
Yes.
So what was that trip about? Why did you go?
So like I said, sophomore year when I joined peer ministry team, I joined on the social justice pillar. Mm-hmm. So right then I was getting involved in service. And here at Sacred Heart with the community engagement office, we do global service trips. So I got to go to Colombia on my sophomore year spring break. And again, like I think that foundation of being on the peer ministry team and doing that service kind of inspired me to go. And I was a little scared going into it because we were volunteering at a detention center and a children's organization. So once I heard the word detention center, I was kind of like a little scared. Yeah. But it was the most profound experience I've ever had. I still talk about it to this day, because when we were working with them, they called themselves people deprived of liberty. Mm-hmm. They didn't call themselves prisoners. Right. And we worked in the drug rehabilitation area. And the one thing that stood out to me the most is that the people who were there had the most strongest vulnerable relationship with God I've ever experienced. And it was very inspiring to see that we lived in different countries. There was a language barrier, cultural differences, backgrounds, but we all knew the same God. And we had those conversations with each other. And I think that was just so powerful that no matter how different we are, we all come together with God.
Right. Yeah. And we've spoke about this in some of my class, I'm sure you have too, is that how some of the most poor people or people that don't have a lot are the strongest in their faith. Mm-hmm. And that's the only thing they have to fall back on. So they are almost like an example to all of us.
Yeah, I saw a video recently saying that Jesus, he died on the cross for us, and he had the most brutal suffering that any man had to go through. And who are we to think that as humans on this earth, when we want to walk with God, who are we to think that we're not then going to have a life with suffering in it? Right. So I think that that's something to put into perspective, that even Jesus, the perfect man, he endured the most suffering out of all of us. So it kind of gets that closer relationship and perspective.
Absolutely. So would you say that all of these experiences on this trip strengthened your faith?
100%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And did this trip at all inspire you to become a doctor at all?
Definitely. I kind of what I was talking about before about the serving others, serves mm-hmm. Christ. So being in that impoverished community, it was really eye-opening, and it made me think that I was privileged enough to be raised in a family where I had the opportunity to go to college, and I have the opportunity to pursue any education that I want. So it's kind of also, yes, I want to help people, but I'm also in a privileged position where I could go to school, and I have the determination and motivation to go through it and do it for those who physically can't.
Did you know you wanted to be a doctor before coming here To Sacred Heart or before this trip, or
yes,
did this solidify it?
This definitely solidified it.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to work in the healthcare field, and yeah, this definitely solidified it.
That's great. I'm sure you'll help a lot of people in your career.
Thank you.
So you're very involved on campus. I just read it out before. So what do you do to balance your work and your activities and your faith?
Yeah, I think that I've learned that everything that we do in our lives, even the smallest little actions, there's a secular way of doing things and a spiritual way of doing things. So I try to fill in and replace kind of my old habits with ways that I could strengthen my relationship with God. So even if I'm listening to music on the car ride here, I was listening to worship music. That's kind of been my avenue recently that strengthened my relationship. I've gone to several concerts. That's kind of my way where I grow my faith now. So yeah.
And some of these people are really good singers. These faith singers, and they have good, like, catchy songs. I know, my aunt and uncle and my cousins, they listen to all these, faith songs. I'm like, this is a good singer. This is good. I should, tune into that.
Yeah.
So we kind of touched on this before, but how do you plan to incorporate your faith into your field of work as a doctor and helping others?
Yeah, I think really just knowing and understanding that we're all children of God and that we're called to serve others and love one another. And I think when you have that foundation going into especially the healthcare field, you use that as just having solid empathy and really guiding that. And when I want to go to medicine, I want to go through osteopathic medicine. So that kind of focuses on the holistic approach with like the mind, body, soul connection. So pursuing that field, I think it's really important that you understand that your physical and mental health are also tied into your spiritual health. So really focusing on all three of those avenues will make you stronger and healthier as a whole.
Yeah, I think, whatever you work in, you have the ability to connect with others and help others. But healthcare people are at an advantage because you're hands-on helping people every single day.
Yeah.
So my last question for you, which we ask all of our guests on this show, is how will you continue to move your faith forward?
Good question.
Yeah.
I think just being such a representation of Jesus and his image that it sparks organic conversations. Like we mentioned before, like I always try to wear some Jesus merch, so sparks some conversations and just being an image for him. There's this one song lyric that I really like from Josiah Queen. He's one of my favorites. And he said, if I'm the closest thing to a Bible that they read, let the words they read be what you wrote. So it kind of just shows that like, no matter what we do, if we represent ourselves as a Christian, people kind of correlate you with God. And that shows that like the things you say, the things that you act, they could completely change someone's faith relationship just by their experience with you. So I think it's just so important to love one another always and always act with respect and love each other like God's loved us.
That's a great message and a great way to live your life. Grace, thank you so much for being here and good luck with everything from this point forward.
Thank you so much.
And that wraps up episode 11 of Faith Forward. Before we go, I have to shout out Matt and Alex in the back. Thank you guys so much. And that wraps up this episode, and we'll see you next time on Faith Forward. God bless.